So I think I'll explain this. One thing I do is I'll get a certain kind of series of comments, and they all kind of go in the same category to me, and then I respond to that. And people often think I'm responding specifically to them, but their comment might have been one of a set of comments, and I might not have even had theirs in particular in mind. I've seen a theme of response, okay? Now, the problem with that is then, if I'm thinking of one particular comment, like my last video, my emotional attitude is about that particular comment and commenter. So in this case, I was arguing with Quintica, and I don't think he was being very straightforward. He keeps insisting um, that spirituality has to do with spirits and ghosts and these kinds of things, and he knows that that's not what I mean by it, but he's playing this language game where, well, that's what it means, so he keeps interpreting what I say as though that's what I'm trying to say. Now, I understand people have this idea, people have all kinds of framing, but you have to understand that philosophy is a multi-thousand year long conversation, and words and concepts have turned quite a bit in that conversation. And if you study the history of a word, just like the history of a scientific thought, you'll see lots of twists and turns, and people realizing that one metaphor was more effective than another metaphor, and choosing that or going back to it because maybe it had been chosen in the past. Now, spirit is used the way I'm using it among some atheist philosophers like Nietzsche, and it's used in really its more original form. The word for spirit comes from the word for breath in a lot of languages. And why is that? Because it's the thing that makes an animal instead of a rock. Ancient people could easily tell the difference between a rock rolling down a hill and an animal running down a hill. Okay, and living things, mammals, birds, reptiles, the kinds that human beings notice, they breathe when they're alive. And when they die, they stop breathing. Okay, so that's the original meaning of spirit. It has to do with what it means to be living, all right? What it means to be living. And I'm not really invoking that, am I? That word, spirit, what it means to be living in this particular um, investigation so far. I'm talking about a living thing having emotions, and and us having certain kinds of experiences we identify as spiritual. And yeah, I think that we need to have such experiences just like we need to have experiences of love and all sorts of other things in order to feel satisfied with life. So I hope this explains it more fully.